At the Las Vegas Grand Prix, Max Verstappen's early punishment for an illegal overtake on Charles Leclerc created a tense strategic battle in which Red Bull was not as dominant as usual. In the closing moments of the race, Max Verstappen outran Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc to win in Las Vegas, and Perez blew the opportunity to snap his losing streak. Even though the Dutchman despises everything about this competition, it hasn't lessened his desire to win. At the first corner, he shoved Leclerc off course to take the lead, but he was penalized and soon encountered tire problems, which allowed the Ferrari driver to regain control. With 20 laps remaining, Perez was in the lead thanks to a perfectly timed safety car. But when Leclerc bounded back past him, the Mexican was sound asleep, despite having all he needed to win for the first time since April. With 12 laps remaining, Verstappen blasted past both of them, and Perez did manage to overtake Leclerc, whose older tires were losing their grip. The Monegasque should have been doomed to third place, but he defeated Perez once more with a spectacular move on the last lap to at least take second place. For Lewis Hamilton, it was an unforgettable day. He started 11th, lost a few positions in a first corner scramble, and then sustained a puncture that further hindered his progress. Although he bounced back to finish 7th, it was yet another forgettable day for Mercedes and British Formula One fans, as teammate George Russell was given a penalty and Lando Norris retired from the race. With a shady move on pole sitter Leclerc that caused them to both veer off course at the first corner, Verstappen took the lead early on. Red Bull told their driver not to bother giving the place back because they were happy that he was ahead before they went off course. The Dutchman was eventually given a 5-second time penalty by the referees for the move. However, everyone agreed that it was a light penalty, and Verstappen didn't appear to be too concerned either. Perhaps he should have been. Despite building a quick gap after an early safety car, he soon began losing ground to Leclerc. Verstappen had pushed his tires too hard while they were still too cold, and so they started graining, meaning he was losing grip and time in the corners. By the time he pitted to serve that penalty, Leclerc had already got back past him on track. And the race was poised nicely in the Ferrari racers' favor as Verstappen lost a lot of time in traffic after his earlier-than-planned stop. But just when Red Bull needed it, the second safety car arrived. It was brought in so that the track could be cleared of debris following George Russell's turn into Verstappen, which resulted in damage to the Dutchman's front wing and a penalty of his own for the Mercedes driver. Watch the entire Formula One season on Sky Sports, where you can gain first access to qualifying, races, and much more for each Grand Prix. Watch Sky Sports to ensure you don't miss a lap featuring Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton. Yes, the British were not having a good time. While teammate Hamilton was having an even worse time, Russell had dropped to 9th. He barely avoided crashing at the first corner but lost a lot of ground. He also suffered a puncture that forced him to pit again and fall to the back of the pack, which severely hampered his recuperation. Amid the first corner chaos, in which several cars span, all of them managed to survive and carry on. But a few laps later Lando Norris lost control of his McLaren on the slippery surface and smashed into a barrier. He needed a trip to the medical center but no lasting damage was done. The second safety car had allowed Perez a cheap pit stop and he came back out second behind Leclerc. But he had new tires which gave him the advantage, and it wasn't long before the Mexican had zoomed past him and took the lead of the race. All of a sudden, it was his race to lose. Leclerc was in his rear, but Verstappen was visible in the Monegasque's mirrors. For the second-place finisher in the championship this year, Perez could keep giving Leclerc the DRS to help the Ferrari star keep the Dutchman at bay. He blew it, though. Leclerc outpaced the Red Bull and regained the lead after catching Perez off guard, causing Perez to drop to third place after just 2 laps. With 12 laps remaining, Verstappen quickly overtook the two of them to reclaim the lead. He made an effort to keep Perez close enough to get into a slipstream as requested. Even though the result confirmed the drivers would finish in that order in the championship this year, It was insufficient to stop Leclerc from blasting past the Mexican on the last lap to deny Red Bull the 1-2 finish.